Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Trade Chat Down Under podcast, a very special podcast tonight. We have a debutante, but first of all, our fearless leader, our glorious and stalwart master. Good evening, huge bloke.
Greetings and salutations.
But our first time ever on the podcast, we have...
On a podcast, I'm led to believe.
On any podcast, because he's not a big podcast person. Newly returned...
Probably the last.
Newly returned from his self-imposed exile in the WoW wilderness. He returns to us, the Bogan. Good evening.
Hey boys, how you doing?
Not too shabby.
Now, Hughes, we normally talk about the news at the start of the podcast, but I have a feeling it's pretty much going to work its way into the wrap-up of our WOD discussion, of our Warlords discussion, so I'm not really seeing the point in doing a separate news.
The only news is the obvious stuff: world dropouts and DDoS attacks and la la la. Oh my god, I'm gonna unsub. Usual bullshit. And to be honest, I'm not even gonna dignify it. Like, it's launch week. Get over it.
There were a few things. A couple of people got banned for exploiting within the first couple of hours, which I've had a bit of a rant about. Obviously, on the trade chat down on the website.
The turtle meat guy. That was pretty funny.
Yeah, apparently it wasn't a turtle meat thing at all. That was something someone else was saying. But apparently he was just over and over turning in the inscription daily in the Arbitorium, which apparently was like the only daily quest that hadn't been fixed. So
that's actually pretty nifty. That's the first time I've heard that, and you know what? I've got to give the dude credit for figuring that out.
Well, if he'd figured it out, it must have been like they would have figured that out during testing if they knew to do that on the night. Like it was a bit bizarre, I thought. So fun stuff.
Moving right along though, because that's pretty much the news.
That is pretty much the news. I mean, obviously there were resets and massive problems with login queues, which Blizzard do seem to have addressed with hardware changes and fixes. So now that we've played, I'd like to ask this question first of the Bogan, if you like, because he came back from not playing for a while, so he will have experienced the biggest change of us all. How do you see the how do you see the Warlords of Draenor expansion, and what's really doing it for you at the moment?
Look, for me, I'm almost ready to say this is the best expansion yet. I love the new content, love the design, love the questing. The questing was just, apart from it probably being a bit easy, in my opinion, I really enjoyed the storyline.
I've had a few people say that the questing's been really easy this time around, and I'll half and half agree with it. Like, yeah, a lot of it is a lot easier, but there are some in there that are challenging, depending on what class or the sort of mechanics of the fight. So it's a nice mix from what I've seen so far in that regard. But you hit 100 within the first couple of days. What have you been doing since, obviously, besides questing?
Not much. Obviously, after the weekend, I go back to work, less time to play. So at the moment, all I've been doing is messing around with a few alts, doing my garrison stuff.
Yeah.
Basically, I took a little bit of a break from leveling due to the fact that I did nothing else but level for 3.5, 4 days till I hit 100. So,
which is certainly fair enough. What about you, Wook? Like, you're also 100. Like, what's your happy feels about it?
I want to save my fire till after you've had your say, mate.
Oh, this sounds interesting.
Well, I think you're going to know where I'm coming from, because I might as well get it out now, because you'll be a lot more positive than I am.
Yeah.
But this is very much what basically everything I do reminds me of Star Wars Old Republic.
Okay.
In the way the quests are laid out, you've got a very linear way of doing it, but then you've got the bonus achievements and all that stuff. That's throw in the garrisons. This is what Star Wars Old Republic should have been.
What did you term it the other day? It was Warlords of Star Wars or something.
Warlords of the Old Republic.
That's right.
It's not a carbon copy. Don't think you could come straight from like Old Republic and think, oh, this is the exact same game. It's not. WoW encourages a far more open exploration than Old Republic ever did. And the questing, while linear, you've still got the freedom to go to other zones and whatnot with it, regardless of your level range. So it is, and Garrisons is still far better than the system that I think Star Wars had, and the auction house is still way better than the various systems used for.
That's certainly not hard to beat that one, though.
No, so on the whole, this is a it's a much better experience WoW wise as well. So all up, it's a big plus for me.
I've said to Bogan a couple of times in the last week, I'd nearly be inclined to suggest that this could possibly be a Wrath defeat for me. It is shaping up to sort of take the pole position. I'll see how that goes once I get to 100 and maybe get a bit further in the story or raiding or anything like that. Because ultimately it was the continuation of the story that sold it for me back in Wrath.
I think the lore has to be fleshed out a lot more before I'm happy that this beats Wrath for me. The big win for Wrath was the lore component.
Oh, definitely.
And so
I think I'm loving this. I'm loving the story. I'm loving the interaction. I'm loving seeing some of the most random old characters from, even from vanilla, sort of appearing in a completely different way. It does get a little bit confusing in the sense of I have been pulling myself up and going, that's a karma in his sort of normal state before he got all messed up.
Yeah.
But then I've got to stop and remember that it theoretically isn't.
Yep.
It's this is meant to be an alternate time, not back in time.
Yeah.
So from that side of it, it's a little bit confusing. But to be honest, that's the biggest gripe I've got. I'm absolutely loving this, loving the questing. I'm loving the storyline. While the lore does have a lot of wiggle room in it, I'm digging the back history that they're putting in place, the zones, the artwork, even just random stuff like obviously they updated the character models. But what I've also noticed after watching the DVD that came with the collector's edition is that they've upgraded the sound to go with it, and they put it on a simple phrase that they were bringing the character models into the high def era, so they wanted to do the same with the sound. So I've actually made the conscious effort to be playing with game sounds and music and stuff like that. And I boil it down to pretty much the easiest way to say it is this whole expansion pack so far is just simply fucking amazing.
I think the cutscenes and everything, they really did that for me. And I'm not, as I've said before, I'm not going to spoil it for people that haven't got to Nagrand yet. But there's shit that happens there that will just blow you away.
I'm finding personally for me, just the cutscenes, each individual one. I'm yet to reach 100. I'm not far off, but we'll get there. Because I'm taking my time to go and do all the quests and things like that. But as I find those cinematics, I'm making sure that I watch them and enjoy them, and I haven't been let down yet. They're awesome. They've really gone the extra mile with it, and it's paid off as far as I'm concerned.
What about you, Bogan? How are you finding garrisons and things like that?
Well, it's a completely new concept. I've never played Star Wars, and quite enjoyable. I actually think it adds quite a lot to the game, having your own little area now that you can modify to your own needs and requirements. Something that keeps you engaged because you've always got to be going there to, do your quests, get your resources, messing around. So, every couple of hours you're always having to go back and get your shit. So it was always good. I'm really enjoying the garrison part of this.
I know for someone like yourself as well, like you've only got, well, two characters that you sort of really play. Do you think that that's like that something like the garrison is going to benefit you in terms of like professions and that? Like it allows you to get materials and stuff that you wouldn't have had access to otherwise?
I don't know. Obviously, because it's only 4 or 5 days, and I've done absolutely no research. I have no idea the benefits it may or may not have in long term, but it'll all depend on how long the game keeps me interested this time.
Yeah.
Like if I disappear again in 2 months' time,
Yeah.
it was fun, but really had no benefit for me. But we'll just see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. Because yeah, I mean that's basically been your sort of play style. Like you come back for an expansion, get to the max level and sort of see what it's all about. But generally, it hasn't really been anything to sort of regain your interest.
Well, it's the problem is every guild I've been in when I've been playing has eventually made the progression into raiding and serious gameplay.
Yep.
Whereas I've never had the time or the internet connection to be able to make that dedication. I'd love to. I love instances. I've loved the raids I've done, but I just don't have time to go grinding mats and have a decent internet connection that won't drop out or lag on me at the worst possible time, making me wipe the raid. So I just do what I can until I get bored and then I leave.
So far. Well, hopefully,
I don't want to be that person that blinks in and kills everyone like other people in this podcast do.
Don't worry. You won't be the only person doing that in our guild.
Oh, I know. So far I can think of at least, there's 14 people in the guild, and I can pretty safely guarantee that at least 12 of them are going to be doing that sort of thing.
It's at least 2 of us that do it all the time. So.
We must crack into that straight off the bat then. Since Warlords has gone live, the usual gang of suspects from the Trade Chat Guild have all been hanging out and playing, and we had our little launch event. However, since then we have had a couple of new people join the guild, and everyone's pretty happy and content, and it's nice and social and coming along. And we started mapping out the future, so to speak, of whether we're going to be raiding or anything like that. And this time around, it's been stated, enough times in the past already, but just to reiterate, like the whole emphasis on the guild this time around is the social aspect, as opposed to, obviously we are going to try and sort of get a bit of progression done, but it's going to be social and it's going to be fun, as opposed to leaving people out in the cold. Because I think even now, Bogan, there's a lot of content that you still haven't seen from older expansion packs, isn't there?
Oh, there's a ton of stuff that I haven't seen or done. Like some of the runs that you've been doing in the old world, I never experienced. I hit level 60, 18 hours before the first expansion came out.
Yeah.
I ran one raid.
So you really are sort of like the poster child of what we're trying to achieve here is get you back and show, like, even if it's only a blitz run, but at least you get to see it in some form.
Yeah. As you've seen in the last couple of days, I'm always up for running something.
Yeah.
Because that's the type of thing that will keep me interested and, logging in a couple of times a week just to... Especially, we've got all the level 100 instances that we've got to do, and with yourself and multiple members getting there, it's a perfect chance to run them.
Done a bit of dungeon work since hitting 100. Like, how are you feeling about those?
I've only done 2. I did the first one at 91 with you and Mao.
Yep.
And then I did the Skyfall one the other night.
Yep.
and I've loved both of them so far. Skyfall definitely does have some interesting bits to it. I won't ruin it for people that haven't played it yet, but definitely somewhere I'm keen to go back.
Yep. No, it's good because that's obviously like I'm in the same boat as you there. Like I really enjoy getting into dungeons, and to a lesser extent, like the raids don't bother me that much. Like I know I'll get to see them eventually, one way or the other. But I've done both the dungeons now as well, and I've got to admit, like I'm really impressed with the way the mechanics work and the length of them. They're not too long, but they're not too short.
Yeah, see, the thing I'm disappointed is that I obviously getting to 100 within the 4 days meant that I didn't get to run all the instances, and
Yeah,
now I'm going to have to try and run them on alts. Because at the moment we can't get in because I'm either too high or other people are too low. And
well, I think the system they got in place there with once you get to 100, it's the same system as always. Like you got to get to a certain gear level before you can start running the heroic dungeons.
which is understandable.
I'm quite looking forward to that.
It's not just a gear level to do heroics. You've got to do a certain level in the proving grounds as well.
Yeah. When you say the proving grounds, you're talking about the thing from Pandaland, right?
Yes,
At the White Temple.
You've got to get a silver to
Yeah.
qualify for. The problem I've had is that the stupid healing NPC sucks balls when I'm tanking. So
I have no idea about anything to do with the proving grounds outside of the DPS challenge, of which I will admit I can't get past the silver one. Like I don't know, can't do it. I'm gonna go back and do it now at 100 and see how we go.
yeah.
I did the bronze one the other night, but had internet-related issues.
Yeah.
Trying to complete the silver one, so they'll just wait.
Now, just speaking of like internet related issues, now you were obviously present at the launch event that we had at House of Huge Bloke. Have you had much issues? Like obviously people have been talking about world dropouts and characters not found and all that sort of stuff. I know your net connection at home is pretty shaky as it is. Have you had much issues in that regard?
No, most of the related issues have been on my end, other than obviously being affected by server queues.
Yeah.
Nothing. Oh, and I missed 20 minutes at Wowland or whatever we're calling what we did at your place.
Yeah.
With a character not found issue. So, but no, I've had absolutely no issues.
And what about you?
So I've got no reason to get compensation from WoW like everyone else on the forums wants.
Now, you picked up exactly where I was going with that. During one of the very short periods of time that the servers were down while we were at the launch event, Mal actually took the time to read through some of the forums, much to our own detriment, and one of the statements that was made, and we did put it up on the Facebook page, was that this dude wanted compensation for lost WoW time. To which Bogan actually sat there and worked out how much that compensation would be. Now, to answer the burning question that you all must be wondering about, 54 cents for every 24 hours is what your game time is worth. Sorry, I just got sidetracked there. Where the
He did make the comment that that's more of a refund calculation rather than a compensation. But when you think about it, if you were every day you don't play WoW, you've cost yourself 54 cents.
Yeah, it just serves to show sort of the stupidity that comes with a lot of these players, though. Like, the servers went down. There was issues. There was glitches. There was characters not found. The DDoS attack, certainly didn't help, but I think people forgot the main sort of statement here was that it's a launch. It's a game launch. To a degree, yeah, right, they could have tested better on their end, but I don't think I've ever been to a launch that was perfect 100%. And actually having been host to a lot of these launch events, I actually think, at least from where I see it, I think it was one of the smoothest launches they've had yet.
I think the first night was fine, wasn't it?
I agree.
The first night was great, but they seemed to have some problems on the second day.
Well,
and maybe
that's actually the part that's got me buggered completely. Is we played for the first 24 hours. Like, obviously, we had sleep time and other things to go on. But when we came back after the first 24 hours, that's when the issues started. And I was sort of sitting there thinking, how the crap does that happen? Like, we've been at this for the first 24 hours, and it was smooth. Like, we were all logged in. The quest came up, and off we went. We went over, got the starting zone quest done, and it was smooth. There was no issues. Come back the next day, like on the Friday, wow, you certainly noticed the difference. Still didn't get disconnected too many times, anything like that, but you definitely noticed there was a few more people around. But it seems in the days following that the issues have been. I just don't understand how that's happened. So,
Well, they did have to take the player cap down because of the DOSing attack, so whether that had an effect on the traffic going through the server.
I think that's actually one of the biggest crack ups is people complaining about the server times and server queues and shit like that, knowing full well that there's these big attacks going on that are obviously damaging the system. The fact that their method to deal with it was to reduce the caps and sort of level it out and make sure that people, even if it's only a smaller amount, at least people could still get on. The amount of people that sort of instantaneously, oh, fuck you, Blizzard, I'm going to unsub, oh, this isn't fair. You know what? Good, go. Cancel your subscription. It'll be one less retard that we have to deal with in the game. Like, there's a process that's in place with dealing with those sorts of attacks. Now, reducing the population made it more stable, but people seem to forget that they said, we're going to increase the caps slowly over time, bit by bit, so that we know if it breaks again where the limit is. But they still whinge. Oh, it wasn't good enough.
I think it was good that they put that type of thing in place so quickly. Within 12 hours they noted problems. So what they did was reduce the amount of players to, make it better for the people that they could play.
The problem,
exactly.
The only problem I have with that is that people were literally not able to play for like 12 to 13 hours, and that's on a weekend. That's a pretty big deal, man.
I can understand, and yeah, that's definitely a big deal. Like, my heart certainly goes out to those people that couldn't play at all.
Don't lie, it did not.
No, it does, man, because like I know what it's like when you get a new game and all you want to do is play it and just sit there and go through the install and whatever else, and then just not be able to log on. Like, that would frustrate the shit out of me.
Yes, and then the next thing you know, some idiot's getting to 100 before you and annoying you.
But when it boils down to the simple fact, like, they couldn't, as a responsible business, just leave it the way it was, with all those DDoS attacks going on and the chaos, the sheer and utter chaos of all those people logging on that probably haven't been seen for a long time. Like, a lot of people have come back to this game for this expansion. They
did say that there were a lot more people than they expected back on as well.
And they have claimed responsibility for that. They totally wore that. But just the amount of outright bitching, like, come on guys, give them a bit of a break. Yeah, all right, you will get to play. Shit will settle down. That's just how launches work. The first, I would say, 2 weeks to a month.
It's not just Blizzard's fault.
Yeah, exactly.
I would not be surprised if there was a day. Sorry, go on.
Some of the blame is with the user base. Like, if you had a look at the amount of people that were AFK'd in, what's that stupid little dungeon that I killed you in, Wookie?
Ragefin.
Ragefire.
What is it? Ragefire Chasm?
Yeah. It's like the one in Stormwind.
Stop it.
Yeah, where you know they could sit there getting attacked all day basically and take effectively no damage. Like if you did a who in that instance, there was.
I only heard about this yesterday, and the Horde equivalent of it was people sitting in Ragefire Chasm. Same deal, just basically volunteering to get attacked because it would keep them from going AFK. That's a dirty tactic, but hey, you know what? Desperate times, desperate measures. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, look, I still can't believe I just forgot to have a stack of dailies done. Normally, every expansion I do it the day before or on the day.
Yeah.
And normally you have them to turn in. And like with the it would have been so easy to hit 91 at least on dailies because you would have had. There's no cap on the amount of dailies you can do anymore.
Yeah.
You might have actually beat me to 100 then.
You could have had 25 dailies done and just waiting to turn in. So it's yeah. I completely forgot.
There's definitely things that everyone could have done to sort of speed the process up. The big complaint that I guess the more I sort of think about it, I do actually have another gripe, and that was that Blizzard seemed to yet again bottleneck the questing through the Star Zones. Now, I don't know whether you got to experience it or not, Wookie, but myself and Bogan and Mao did definitely with where you first start to form your garrison and killing the drakes and marking the trees. I'll post a screenshot of that. It was horrible. Like the initial questing wasn't too bad to get to that point. We thought we weren't doing too bad, and we were probably a little bit ahead of the curve. And then we got there, and all these people. And it was the same ass fuckery as always. I'm going to sit on the quest giver on the biggest mount that I've got and just be annoying. We managed, we got through it, we survived it, we got the garrisons up and done and sort of went about our own way. But the, oh man, come on Blizzard. Like, this is what, the 6th time we've been through this. Like, surely there has to be a better way to start an expansion pack than to bottleneck everyone into the same zone, same killing stuff, same picking,
I actually didn't think it was as bad as the last few years. Remember when we had that flying quest and you took that screenshot and shot like a flying ape?
What was that? No, that was actually Pandas. Pandas is the one you're talking about.
And then we had where you had to click on the flying trainer, and once again everyone sat on him with their big mounts, and it took me 20 minutes just to find the little fella.
They definitely did do better. It just took a lot longer to get to the bottleneck, I think. That's the only real difference there. I'm just going to move up the hill to the next group, by the way. For the folks playing at home, we are trying to avoid doing proper runs while recording podcasts because we're too stupid to multitask. So we are doing mindless numbing tasks. In this case, we're back on Timeless Isle at 100 or the better part of farming Emperor Poo Pants rep for the mount at the end. And yes, I have my my glass of ice, so I'm happy.
Alright, so look, I think we've covered pretty much where we're at with Warlords. But with every new expansion, obviously new things have come out and about. So how about you hit us with your add-ons of the week?
Ooh. Now, I actually tried to stave away from this one, and I nearly made it a week. I swear, I'm like 2 steps short of becoming like a add-on crackhead. I wiped every add-on that I had and literally did a clean start. And as I read or come across different add-ons, ones that take my interest, I'll have a look and have a go. And the ones that I got this week, I quite literally installed yesterday. Now, the first one was one called Breeze, which you can get from Curse. And basically, the garrison missions. Now, they're awesome fun when you turn them in. They're... sorry, I just got sidetracked. The garrison missions you turn in, you get the little animation, then you click the loot box, and then you go to the next one, you get the little animation, you click the loot box. All Breeze does is remove the animation. It just speeds the process up and makes it a little more streamlined. It's bullshit. It's a bullshit ad, but it serves a purpose, and it does actually speed it up quite nicely. The second one is a delight called Handy Notes. Now, this one I got the drop on from my buddy Lycan at Punkcast, and I was a bit dubious about it because I didn't really think I would need that much help to find the treasures that are scattered throughout Draenor. Turns out I was wrong. If you get Handy Notes as the base add-on and then get the Draenor treasure add-on addition to go with it, it literally shows you every treasure, every garrison supply, every rare, every level 100 rare that drops a Pexi shards. It does little mouse over notes on the map, and as soon as you install it and look at your maps, you'll know that there's a lot more in the game than you possibly could have imagined. So that one's actually sidetracked a whole bunch of people from leveling, myself included. But it served its purpose because I got money and treasures and plenty of stuff to DE. So that one's definitely worth a check out if that's the sort of thing, like treasure farming's the sort of thing you're into, or just want a bit of garrison supplies. And that's that. That's my add-ons wrap up.
Obviously, I'm still using Recount.
No
updates.
I don't know how that just reminded me actually, but how's the Bolvar novel going?
Obviously, been put on hold because of the Warlords launch and all that sort of thing.
Is that that's just a cheap excuse / cover up, isn't it?
It's look. There has been a bit going on. Obviously, the end of MOP, and I'm trying to catch up on my reputations and whatnot. Still need Avengers of Hygel.
So really, you're just telling us that you haven't done a damn thing.
There's I've got a lot on. I've been working a lot lately, and
what do you think, Bogan? You hearing a bit of excuses here, or?
With the economy the way it is, and society going down.
This is the man that wants to launch his own political party,
and
10 years ago, and
still wait for it to happen.
The ongoing war against terror, and there's also a book that I was reading that I haven't finished yet. And I've been doing some homework on other things, and did I mention work has been hard, and
I suppose married life's been taking its toll on you as well.
Well, apparently, so
married life's taken such a toll on you two that I noticed that Mao is actually not here with us tonight, mainly because
because I wore her out. That's what
home
what that is.
After the kids, isn't she?
Well, that's where she belongs. And,
hopefully she's doing in the kitchen, making sandwiches and multitasking.
Well, that's what you get when you marry a chef. And they better be bloody good sandwiches, I might add. Not just this run-of-the-mill, slap on. How the hell have you two died?
We're special. You know how we do things, man. Just to point out, too, that we aren't actually serious there.
With 2 level 100s and a 99, and you guys are dying.
Yeah, that's how we think. But no, Mao isn't at home looking after the kids. She's actually unwell from. Personally, I put it down to just the sheer excitement that she showed from the expansion pack. And she's certainly gone hard at it, and in the leveling, and has, like me, actually sidetracked from leveling her main and got a couple of other garrisons up and running, which I think will pay off in the long run. But I'm sure we'll get her back on next week and hear her take on how Warlords is going. 2 weeks in.
Yeah. No. So, you got any add-ons there, Bogan? No? Do you know what an add-on is?
Basic ones. But Huge Bloke did recommend one to help me get my Druid rotation working. Unfortunately, it's not updated for Draenor yet, but...
That was Spell Flash, I believe.
Yeah, something like that for my balanced Druid. So we'll just see what happens. No, I've got nothing other than the basic ones. I've never really used them.
The one he's actually talking about is Spell Flash. Spell Flash. It's one, in the current climate. Throw Spell Flash on once you've got a bit of gear and you've done your.
No. So, we should congratulate Dowunder, or however you pronounce her name, for being Guild First Level 100. And she's, beat me, and the Bogan came in second there. You there, mate?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, we've lost Huge temporarily.
Yeah, he seems to have gone offline.
Again. So,
So normally it's me that gets disconnected randomly, so...
No, huge
I don't know what that was about. I just got dropped.
Well, Deshu did stay up to about 5 a.m. basically after launch, so she would have played 10 hours basically from launch.
I missed the first 6 hours of
yeah.
launch, gallivanting around the countryside and discovering new and wonderful places that I'd never heard of or been to or wanted to go to.
Williamstown isn't exactly new, but...
Well, it is if you never go there.
I believe Destes got about 20-something hours in, pretty much back-to-back, give or take a few hours in there for Kip. But pretty much just got into launch and fucking smashed it. She took it out. She took out the first 100 in our guild, which was a mighty achievement. I think between her and you two, you've got all 300s that we can account for in trade chat so far.
I think there's a couple of people not far off.
I literally have 30% to go.
And you're frittering your time away on
Timer's up.
On the timeless isle at the moment.
I know. I don't even know really what to say to myself other than I'm severely disappointed.
So
and
we'll resume We'll resume normal programming shortly.
Oh, I sure hope so.
But
I suggested this to do while we were recording a podcast because it was meant to be mindless and I wasn't going to have to concentrate and could focus on the podcast. But apparently, no.
They still heard apparently, which is
it's a little bit strange.
An unpleasant surprise.
That being said, the rep is coming in nice and easy. It's just the XP's not. So
yes, I have a feeling you people are about to kill me again, given I pulled one, and yet I'm being attacked by like 4 of these bastards.
I was sort of hoping that would happen, but I did try to sort of help. But now I'm just going to stand here and watch.
Yeah, I'm going to bubble half out.
What are you guys sort of like? Where are you guys going to move from here in Warlords? Like, you going to aim towards raiding or achievement whoring, or what are we talking?
I have the same philosophies I do with every expansion. I level my gathering turns first in order to make sure I've got the right mats and everything for my crafting turns when they level through. And then And then after that, if the guild's ready to raid, the guild's ready to raid. Raiding and dungeon running isn't really what I do. I mean, Hugh, you'll know this. I run a very solo existence for most of the game, and I'll help out where people need help, and if I can help, that sort of thing. But for the most part, because of the hours I keep and things like that, it's very hard for me to maintain an active guild presence at normal gameplay times. So I tend to do things that I can do by myself, exploration, questing, achievements, things like that.
Nice. Yeah, no, that's fair enough. What about you, Bogan?
Look, like to do some more instances, experience some. Like, I still haven't visited all the areas in the new expansion, so I've got that to do.
Yeah,
I'll just keep going until I get bored. And I've boosted a tune, so I've got to learn how to play that. So see if that keeps me busy.
Nice.
What
about you, Huge? What are your plans, mate?
I think for me at this stage is obviously get to 100 and experience life at 100. Get a bit of gear enough to get up and do some heroics. But really for me it's all about getting the other tunes up. Maybe not to 100, but at least high enough to really get their garrisons up and functioning, so it can be truly self-sufficient and provide a good backbone to the guild. That's like I was sort of getting at before. That's part of the reason I haven't hit 100s as quick as some people, was because I have spent a bit more time sort of getting the garrison running on my ults, just so I can start the professions. But I think probably in a week's time I'm going to pick up my old routine and head back and do some old runs and achievement farming and mount farming and just get it done. Because we still got, I'm led to believe that we still got 3 weeks before the first tier of raid content comes out. So LFR and all that, we do have the anniversary event to look forward to, which is this Friday, I believe. So obviously that'll keep a few people busy, but no, I think there's plenty enough to keep everyone on their toes. Should be fun. Should be fun indeed.
Alright, well, I reckon that about wraps it up for the night, guys. Relatively short, relatively sweet, but I think we've got out most of what we wanted to get out tonight. Thank you very much for coming on, the Bogan, for your first time. I hope you had a pleasant experience.
Yeah, it was better than I was expecting.
We're fairly well behaved tonight. Huge, thanks again.
I'm very honoured to have the Bogan here with us. As mentioned in previous podcasts, rarely seen, but always makes an impact when he does play or does have something to do with us. So it's quite a novelty to have you on, sir. Thank you.
And I, of course, have been the Wookiee. You've been listening to the Trade Chat Down Under podcast, and we'll see you all online.
So,